Good morning, everyone, especially our dear Bosconians and our dear lay mission partners. Before we go for lunch, I'd like to end this morning with this good morning talk. And today is September 21, the feast of St. Matthew, Apostle and Evangelist. I'd like to read the Gospel of today. It's from chapter 9, verse 9 to 13 of the Gospel of St. Matthew. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the customs post. He said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. While he was at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat with Jesus and his disciples. The Pharisees saw this and said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" He heard this and said, "Those who are well do not need a physician, but the sick do. Go and learn the meaning of the words, 'I desire mercy, not sacrifice.' I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners." The Gospel of the Lord. You know, dear friends, one of the things that I remember when I was studying in Rome is that, especially when I take some guests around, we come from the Pantheon and we usually move to Piazza Navona. And one of the stops that we have just in between these two places is a church called San Luigi dei Francesi. And it's the church of the Frenchmen, of the French in Rome, and this is where they gather. But the beautiful thing about that church is that in one of the side altars, you find three paintings by the famous painter Caravaggio, and the most famous is the Call of Saint Matthew. But what you see there in your screen is a painting entitled San Matteo e Angelo, St. Matthew and the Angel. And in English it is translated as of course, St. Matthew and the Angel, but it's also called the Inspiration of St. Matthew because he was one of the evangelists, and being a writer, an evangelist, he has been inspired. And you see that angel just there on top, and whispering something to St. Matthew, who is writing. Of course, this is an artist's conception, and there's still a lot of talk about who really is the author of the Gospel of St. Matthew. But a probable one would be, a probable opinion is that of the Church Fathers, and we would hear about that in a little while. But for example, the passage that we have heard, by the way, we read our Gospels, Sunday Gospels this year from the Gospel of St. Matthew, and therefore we are in contact with him in many ways. But as I told you, there's a lot of dispute with regard to who wrote. For example, what we have just read, it's taken from Mark. If you read the account of the Call of Levi from Mark, it's very similar to this, and we know that Mark is earlier in terms of publication or writing, and somehow Matthew and Luke took a lot from Mark, including this the Call of Levi, which is renamed as the Call of Matthew in the Gospel of Matthew. But one thing that we ask is that why would he, if Matthew was the one who wrote that, why would he take something that was written by another one? Could he have written from his own experiences? But of course, we have other explanations for that. And I'd like to end this with this good morning talk with what Pope Benedict XVI, when he was still the one who was in the helm of the church, he delivered this in the general audience of 30th of August in 2006. He talked about St. Matthew. And here he wrote, Let us remember that the tradition of the ancient church agrees in attributing to Matthew the paternity of the first gospel. This had already begun with Bishop Papias of Hierapolis in Phrygia in about the year 130. And he writes, this is from Papias, Matthew set down the words of the Lord in the Hebrew tongue, and everyone interpreted them as best he could. And this is quoted in Eusebius of Caesarea, and Eusebius is the father of church history, in his work, Historia Ecclesia, and that's in volume 3, chapter 39, page 16. And Eusebius, the historian, adds this piece of information. When Matthew, who had first preached among the Jews, decided also to reach out to other peoples, he wrote down the gospel he preached in his mother tongue. Thus, he sought to put in writing for those whom he was leaving what they would be losing with his departure. And these words from Eusebius and Papias, these are part of what I teach when I teach Matthew, Mark to my students in theology. Well, it's Pope Benedict continues, the Gospel of Matthew written in Hebrew or Aramaic is no longer extant. We can no longer find a copy of that. But in the Greek Gospel that we possess, we still continue to hear, in a certain way, the persuasive voice of the publican Matthew, who, having become an apostle, continues to proclaim God's saving mercy to us. And let us listen to St. Matthew's message, meditating upon it ever anew, also to learn to stand up and follow Jesus with determination, as what we have seen in the gospel reading. The important thing about this is that when he was called by Jesus, he got up and followed him. And there the words ring as how Jesus' words would ring to those who, especially those who are sinners. And I'd like to end with that. Go and learn the meaning of the words, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners. And every one of us, all of us are sinners. And God continually calls us. And like Matthew, we stand up and we are renewed by that call of Jesus. And we pray for this constant conversion that all of us, especially in the educated pastoral community, listen to the voice of the Lord as He calls each one of us towards conversion. And for some of us, to follow Him more closely, as Matthew became a disciple of Jesus. God bless us all. Have a great day.